Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast. This is your host, Bruce Outridge. This is episode number 1050, and that's right. Today we're going to be talking about students, training, melt, all that kind of stuff, and it may even get me in some trouble. Stay tuned. We'll tell you all about it. Hey folks, Bison Transport is looking for owner-operators, and if that is you, they want to talk to you. Here's what they can offer you as an independent owner-operator. Their goal is to help you grow and maximize your profits. You need a strategy to increase revenue while minimizing operational expenses. Bison's exclusive owner-operator program provides you with the benefits of a large fleet while running your independent operation. Look at things like their strong fuel discount. Bison has a dedicated fuel team who negotiate discounts for our owner-operators by working with our preferred suppliers. By leveraging their fleet of over 2,000 trucks, they have the buying power to ensure they receive one of the strongest fuel discounts in the business. Hey, how about free fuel advice? That's right. Bison offers valuable trip-based fuel advice for you via satellite message to owner-operators free of charge. An owner-operator who takes advantage of this information can save up to $3,000 a year. And the best thing of all, Bison has new rates. That's right. Bison has increased the rates for long-haul cross-border owner-operators. This includes a U.S. premium increase of 2 cents a U.S. mile. And that's not all. Bison has an additional premium for owner-operators who hold a valid fast card. Where can you find out more? Well, go to Bison Transport, and the best place to start is at fuelyourjourney.ca. Oh, by the way, tell them that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you. All right, so training is back in the news. Accidents are up. If you saw that CVSA, actually the Canadian stats were outpacing the U.S. stats, and that is just crazy because they're larger. Usually their stats are always bigger than ours, which tells us that the things are not going the way that they planned. As because of Humboldt, as you know, they brought in mandatory entry-level training, or MELT, and, you know, it was supposed to be an upgrade, right? It was supposed to be something that people just used to make sure that they had some training in their background. You know, they thought, typical government, thought that the reason that we were having so many problems in the industry was because parents were teaching their kids how to drive and they weren't getting proper training. They were learning bad habits. We're finding out that's not the case. We're finding out that the real problem is that people are not learning the basic skills. They're learning things to get to the next step, but they don't realize all the steps that go together. So in this one, actually, you probably heard the term steering wheel holder. I'm sure a lot of you are going, oh, here we go. Now, a lot of people are using that wrong. We say the word steering wheel holder and people go, oh, you know what? He's being derogatory against a certain culture. That is not what I'm saying at all. In fact, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what brand you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care how long you've been in the country. That doesn't matter. That's not what a steering wheel holder is. A steering wheel holder is not an immigrant that comes to our country. And it's not somebody who's, doing something, doing a job a certain way and not do. Steering wheel holder in our industry has become a model of how people are learning to drive a truck. And it's not a professional model. Steering wheel holder today, if you think about today, in the old days, okay, so in the old days you had to learn the mechanics of the truck. You had to learn how to shift the truck. You had to learn how to drive the truck and back up the truck and all those kind of things. You didn't have a lot of rules and regulations. You had to figure out a lot of things on yourself, which made you, or learn from somebody else that's already been there, and it made you a better driver because you learned things by doing things and you learn from your mistakes. What we're finding now is that people are just going through their training, and we'll talk about training in a minute because I know a lot of you that own truck driving schools right now are going, hey, wait a minute now. We're doing good job. And a lot of you are doing good jobs at your school. We'll talk about training in a minute. But if people are thinking of you as a steering wheel holder, it's not because of your culture. It's because of the way you're doing the job. Okay, example. You go down the 401. Probably one of my biggest pet peeves here are when people drive down the center lane of the 401, which is a big highway for us here in Canada. It doesn't matter where you are. In fact, Tony Justice, who's been a longtime owner-operator and truck driver and is a musician down in the States, wrote a whole song about Center Lane Larry. So it's not that it's only happening in Canada. It's happening everywhere. And with speed limiters brought in, it's made it even more apparent that people who are in the if you're in the middle lane of that highway, of a 3-lane highway, and you're driving in that middle lane and there's nobody to the right of you, you are in the wrong lane. You should not be in that. Now, this is being taught. I don't know why it's being taught, because it shouldn't be taught, but this is what's being taught in a lot of schools, because they're not teaching you the professionalism of the job. They're teaching you how to pass the driving test. And yes, you can pass the driving test by going down the middle lane of the 401. If you turn the corners right, if you don't hit anybody, if you back up right, then yeah, you'll pass your test. But by no means does that make you a professional driver. And this is what the problem is right now. This is why we call them steering wheel holders. A steering wheel holder is somebody who doesn't really care about the job. They were told to drive the truck from A to B. They don't care how it gets there. They don't care about the load. They just care about, okay, if I drive here and I come back, you're going to pay me for the day. That is a steering wheel holder. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think about anything. You're just driving down the road. You're in your own little space. You don't even have to shift gears because we got automatic trucks. Folks, don't be a steering wheel holder. We don't need any more steering wheel holders. In fact, if you are a steering wheel holder, if you are driving or learning or practicing that type of model in our trucking industry, you are about to be replaced. That's right. You are about to be replaced by AI, because AI can do that better, safer, and more effective than you can. AI doesn't have to sleep. AI doesn't have to eat. AI doesn't have to stop. It is just going to go up and down the road. So if that's the kind of driver you are, and there's a lot of drivers like that where we call them steering wheel holders, it's because you don't have the expertise to do anything more than just drive down the road. You don't care what's going on around you. You don't have any plans of making a career of this other than you are getting a paycheck. Then you are a steering wheel holder, and I had to say it, you are probably going to not be employed for very long. Sorry, hate to say it. I know I'm going to get hate mail. Oh, well. This is the reason that Melt is not working. People have come in. Melt was meant as an upgrade. People have come in and are using Melt as their initial training. That's all the training they've got. So for before, if you went to a reputable school, and when I say reputable school, schools that were accredited, had like a program that was 100 hours long. It covered more than just driving. It covered the professionalism of the industry and trip planning and hours of service, all of that kind of stuff. If you went to that kind of a school, most of you probably had proper training. Now, that doesn't mean it's the end, and we're going to talk about that in another episode later on this week, whether it's finishing or orientation. That is not the end of your training, but you probably got some pretty good basic training. This is the same as somebody learning. When I started, I did not learn off of a school. I did not go to a school. Totally honest, 1982, I can tell you there was not very many schools around. But I did learn off somebody that was very knowledgeable. I did learn off somebody who had a father that was also a truck driver. And I felt he may not have taught me everything, but he taught me a lot of the basics of driving professionally. And in those days, we operated professionally. And this is something that we all need to make sure that we're doing. We're not seeing that these days. And so back then, you had to know how to curve. Stuff like going in the wrong way of a truck stop. I'm seeing these videos on social media that, somebody goes over like a curb, a cement curb, and does not stop. How do you not know that you've run over like a giant pole sticking out of the ground? I can tell you there's truck stops in Florida. You go in the wrong way, it'll cut all your tires. There's spikes in the ground. Depending on which way you're going, it's going to cut your tires up. So these are the kind of things that you learn. Trip planning. We've gone away from trip planning. When do you stop? How do you stop? People are not stopping. People don't care because they're so involved in their phones. They go, I'm just going to drive until I can't drive anymore. That's not truck driving. That's not professionalism. That camaraderie on the road. If you're going down the center lane of the 401, why are you in that lane? Do you not know that that's the passing lane for other trucks? Do you not know that trucks are not allowed in the left lane of the highway? Why don't you know that? That should be the first thing you know before you get on the highway. You should know the rules and the regulations of the country you're driving in. You should be in the right lane. Yes, there is a time to drive in the middle lane. That could be going down something like the center lane of QEW through Halton here, Burlington and Oakville, where there's many exits one after the other. Yes, in rush hour time, probably the most sensible lane for you is to be in the middle lane. But that's not all the time. That's not in the middle of nowhere when nobody else is around you. That is not when when the exits are 5 miles apart from each other. The decision making for a professional driver is to get back into that right lane. Trucking is all decisions. Are you making the right ones? Should you be turning right? Should you be turning left? Do you back in here? Do I walk in and see what it's like first? Can I fit in there? Can I not fit in there? Is the truck too high for the bridge? Is it too low? How do you know all of these things? You should know all of these things. This is what you call professional truck driving. Ask any old school person. Trust. And we've all done it by mistakes. I'm the first one to hold up my hand that my very first time going into New York City with a truck, it was a moving truck. That's right. I got stuck under a low bridge. Now, I didn't get stuck like a foot where I just took the whole top off. But we thought we could make it. We had to creep under, and yeah, we caught the front corner. We had to let the tires out a little bit to back up. I've never done that again. Never hit another bridge. Not once. And that was my first year trucking. So you are allowed to make mistakes. I'm not saying you can't make mistakes. You talk to a lot of older drivers, we've all made mistakes. Some big, some small, some indifferent. It doesn't matter. But the point is that we've learned from those mistakes. They've made us better drivers, and we've moved on, and we're sharing that with you. A lot of people are coming in. They do not want to listen. They go, I don't want to listen to older drivers because the industry's changed. That's bullcrap. The industry may have changed as far as technology. It may have changed as far as the type of operations that are out there, but it has not changed in the basic driving sense. And the stuff we're seeing, the stuff I'm hearing, being an old school truck driver and talking to old school truck drivers, some of the stuff that we're hearing of people passing and winding curves out in the mountainsides, or the one I saw the other day where a driver is going southbound and northbound lanes because he got tired of waiting in line and went around everybody else, or the driver that decided that he was going to just overtake somebody on a blind curve and almost killed a family. This is what we're hearing. You look on social media, what do you see? You see crash videos. Why do you see crash videos? Because they're happening all over the place. Now, to put that in perspective, there's one reason I don't show a lot of that stuff. I want to show the positive of the industry. But you guys are making it very hard to show the positive of the industry if you're going to have crashes all the time. And crashes are a part of trucking. I don't want to make it sound like they're minimal and, don't worry about it if you have a crash. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that things happen. We're in a world of variables trying to be efficient and be on time. Things are going to happen that are out of your control, weather, traffic, people, whatever. But at the same time, you need to know how to handle that. That's where decision making comes in. That's where trucking comes in. And unfortunately, we're seeing people nowadays that don't have the training. I have other instructors that are part of my network. They're not even passing the inspection. Now, some other people say, yeah, the new people do a better inspection. I believe it. I honestly believe it. If you came out of a good school and you had a good trainer and you took it seriously, you probably can do a better inspection than probably some of the older people, because I know a lot of the older people didn't even know what an inspection was. 1982, there was no inspection, my friends. Walk around the truck, lights are on, tires are good, you're out of there. That was the inspection. All right? I don't wear to be proud of it, but that's the way it was. Adjusting your brakes. Hey, you know what? Wind her all the way to the end. Back her off half a turn. You're done. There you go. Slack adjusters are set. And a lot of us were doing that right. But there's a lot of others that were turning the wrong way and going down the road with no brakes. That's why you have automatic slack adjusters today. So what are you doing? How are you doing your job? Are you a professional driver where you're taking this seriously and you actually are not just holding on to the steering wheel and going, oh good, I'm making another $25 an hour as I go by this billboard? Are you the person that's going, how do I make this operation better? How do I make myself more efficient? Where am I having problems going down the road? Why am I always being passed on the right? Because you're in the wrong lane. I just like to harp on that. We're going to be talking about courtesy and stuff in another episode, but how are you looking professional? This is not just about going up and down the road and making as much money as you can. This is about being serious and being taking your training seriously. Another thing that I see a lot of people, because I do some classroom training, if you're sleeping in my class, you're really not taking it in. I know you have to be there for 8 hours, and most courses are built on time, which is totally crap as far as I'm concerned, because someone can sit in class 8 hours and not learn a thing. So as long as they sit in class for 8 hours and they manage to pass the test, they're good. That's the reason we have a lot of accidents, because people are not actually engaging because they don't want to be in class. Instead of figuring out, how can I learn? How can I make this the best? So I remember, how can I make this so this can be my... When there was nobody showing us, trust me, when there was just my friend showing me how to drive, and I'm going, boy, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm listening to what he says, because I have no idea. I was totally green. My parents were accountants. My mom worked for the airline. There was no truck drivers in my family. My parents are from Guyana. They never heard of a truck. Everybody was bicycles and donkey carts. There was no trucks in 1962 here. So when they came here, trucking was not an option. I totally fell into trucking by getting a job. Just like most of you. Most of you that are in training, you're going, I don't know. They said they'll give me $10,000 if I take this course and I can get a job. That's why you're there. And I applaud you for that, because really that's a great reason to be there. That's how we all start. So don't feel bad if that's how you start. But are you trying to make this better? Are you trying to be better at what you're doing? So I did find that job where I was just a helper, and I was just carrying furniture, for the van lines. And I looked at the drivers and I go, what's he doing? That driver's not carrying as much. He's in charge of the crew. He's driving the truck, and he's making more money than I am. How do you become a driver? And then when I became a straight truck driver, I looked at them and I go, what's he doing? Well, that guy, he's getting more trips because he's a tractor trailer driver, and he's going farther. He's getting more opportunity. He's like the bigger boss of us. He's making more money. Oh, maybe I'll get my tractor trailer license. And then once you get your tractor trailer license, when you're going down the road and you're going, oh yeah, I work for trust me, my first company on the freight side, they went bankrupt. I didn't get paid for my last 2 weeks. I'm very good at hunting out a company now and making sure they're going to be stable before I apply. I don't care what they look like. We just had Yellow Freight just go out of business after 99 years. Like, you can never tell, but you got to prepare for yourself. So when I was learning off others. And I took pride. I took pride in my equipment, and that's what got me going. That was another thing. When I was running down the road as a driver, I was going, how can I be more efficient? I thought of my truck and my operation as my own little business. Even though I was a company driver, going down the road, I go, okay, what do I need to do to be efficient? I need to be on time. How do I look respectful, and all of that, and for me, it was like, hey, just wear a golf shirt and jeans will make you look more professional than anybody else on the road. Right? In the summertime, yeah, you can get away, but you can get away with shorts if you're, in the summertime. That's fine. People wear shorts, but you still got to have, one of the regulations in the industry are wearing closed shoes while you're driving. Okay, so some of you are driving in socks because you have a cool Peterbilt. I get it. There's some of you that are driving in flip-flops, which if you ever had to kick a tire, that's going to be a problem. But that actually is a regulation. It was in Connecticut. I don't know if it still is. We're going to go through some of that through our history, our Turn Back Tuesdays. But that's the kind of thing you need to be thinking about. That's what makes you a better. So if you're a student, don't just be, getting your license is the first step. That's right. So you want to go but if that's your only step, if that's the last step in your career and you go, now I'm just going to make money and get almost, this is why people are signing up for things like Driver Inc. because they think they're making more money. They don't realize all of the liabilities you're putting in. And then 2 months later, they're going, oh, how come I didn't get paid? Well, because you basically signed up to be your own business. And that's the way business works sometimes. You don't always get paid. Been there, done that. So it's this kind of thing that you need to really think about as a driver, and you need to start working on as a driver. So I would encourage you, if you are a student now, are you getting the proper training? How do you know? Because if you're in that cheap school or you took the cheapest course, I can tell you're probably not getting the best training. And if you go to apply for a job, you're probably not going to get that job. So you better start looking at what's the difference between where you are now and where you're going. You might want to start asking, if you are already past that point where you got your license but you still can't get hired, I would start looking at some more remedial training, or start looking at a carrier and saying, listen, what do I need to do to get on with you and be professional? And that's finishing programs, which we're going to talk about in another episode. So there's a lot of things going on there. I had a chance to talk with Jack Lochand. Jack's with Alpine Truck Driver Training. Had a chance to speak with him. We were doing a radio broadcast from his location, and we got into talking about training. And here's what he had to say. Hey folks, we often think that truck training facilities only train new drivers looking to be employed in the industry. That's a lie. The fact is, truck training schools like Ontario Truck Driving School offer corporate training for clients in transportation, heavy equipment, and more. The training staff will come to your location and train your team at your location on your equipment. You determine the schedule, and this program is great for fleets with many drivers. To learn how Ontario Truck Driving School can help you efficiently train your team, visit their website at otds.com. Messages are you telling students when they leave here, as far as making sure that they're alert, or even making sure, like the distracted driving part? What you guys emphasize that here at the school?
Yes, we do.
What kind of things do you talk about or discuss with them? Or
Well, every individual is different.
Right.
We can preach all we want. They have to apply it.
Right.
If they can't apply it, when they walk through the door, they forget what they learned.
Yeah.
We can't control that.
Yeah.
If they everybody have a different way of doing stuff.
Yeah.
So we will teach them all the safety measure, all the inspection. Be safe, be safe, be safe. Be alert, be aware, be
Yep.
ready for any.
Do they get it? Do you think they get it?
Some of them do get it, because one of my driver, when he first came in and he started, and I told him about when we were doing the classroom, I said, driving is next to living.
Yeah.
And that's all he remembered.
Yeah.
One night he was going down the highway in the United States, 2:30 in the morning, and he and his truck, and that's all he remembered.
Yeah.
Driving is next to living. Drive safe.
Yep.
Drive safely.
Very
And
cool.
he always come to visit me and say, Jack, that's a good
Yeah.
slogan, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I wish one day they could put this on the highway. And
Maybe they should put it on those electronic signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can advertise that out.
yeah,
That's your slogan, right?
Drive safely, right? Because they got a heartbeat. So if you're not driving safely, you know what happened? You're dead.
Yeah. So you gotta hold your microphone up so Wayne says he can hear you better. So Wayne thought it might be a medical issue. Jordan says inward cameras are good. Drivers are just misinformed about when they are recording, and they think they're recording all the time, and they're not. You can turn them on and off, and I think there's a slider. I think whenever you're behind the wheel, like we're all being monitored now. You got a camera right there.
Yeah, I got.
Is that showing me the whole time?
Yeah, yeah, that's on.
I'm nervous in front of cameras. Yeah, right.
You see it here.
Yeah, I trust you. I trust that you've recorded everything we said. You just want to make your own. Wayne says thank you. Yeah, hold your mic by holding your mic up. It's Jordan says based on critical events is when they trigger. So he's saying that the inward camera doesn't necessarily go on unless there's an incident, and I think it shows like 5 seconds before, 5 seconds after. I'm not something like there's a time frame for that. So I think as while you're in the driver's seat, it should be there.
Also, look at the one there in Alberta. What happened there?
Yeah.
With those bus driver.
Yeah.
Right, the bus driver and the transport truck.
At least that one they came out and they said it wasn't the truck driver's fault. Because usually we get blamed for everything, right?
What I suggest now, what they should do, redesign those highways.
Yeah.
You could put an overpass instead.
Well, yeah, they got some crazy things. Like, I mean, I never ran BC. I always ran kind of, Nebraska east. But I think they have some spots out BC, from what I understand, where it's going down a mountain, then you get to a four-way intersection. You have to stop at the bottom of that
Well, that four-way intersection, that's where it caused the two accidents.
Yeah.
The one with the first one and then the last one.
Yeah.
So I think they should build a bridge over one of them.
And that's why we
One under and one going over.
And that's why we were telling people in class, don't say that it was your fault. Even if you think it was your fault. Because the exact same thing that happened out west is what we had in a scenario with, we did one for the Fleet Safety Council of a truck driver hitting a bus. And we recreated the whole scenario, and it was based on a true incident, and it was the bus driver's fault. The bus driver turned too early. The truck driver couldn't stop, but the truck driver thought, hey, I hit the bus, blah, 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 told the police that. But then they found out it was the bus driver's fault, and the same thing happened out west, right? All right, so there you go. So that was a good conversation there with Jack. Please do not be the steering wheel holder. We don't need any more of those, and plus you're going to be replaced anyway. Be the professional driver. Be the person that's a step up above the rest. Be the person that understands the professionalism of the industry. We'll be talking about that in future episodes. Get yourself proper training. Get yourself into a good finishing program if you're a new driver, and start thinking about how you're contributing to this industry. If you're not going to contribute to the industry, there are other industries you should go work in. Okay? We don't need you here, because if you do not do this properly, you are going to kill somebody. We don't need you doing that. We need people who want to be professional, want to be here, and that is probably one of the biggest things. If you're new and you're looking at this and you're going, which program do I take? I want you to take the most expensive program you can get. I don't want you to look at the minimum programs. I want you to look at the most expensive, and I want you to evaluate what you're getting in that program based on other programs, because they all teach you to back up. They all teach you to drive. They all teach you to go around the corner. How many of them are teaching you the trip planning, the professionalism? How many of them are teaching you how to present yourself? How many people are teaching you hours of service and safety? I'm amazed at our last stats that hours of service are one of the areas we're having problems with, and we got electronic logs. We're not supposed to have any problems with that. So what are people doing? Are they not understanding it, or is it too much? There's a lot to learn in trucking these days. I learned it all over 25 years. You guys got to learn it in 8 weeks. That is a big step. But you need to make sure that you're taking it seriously, and that we want to reduce. We should be reducing the accidents with all the technology we have, with all the training we have, with all the knowledge that we have of today. We should be reducing accidents, and they're going the wrong way. Why is that? And only you can tell me why that is. So all you can do is, you can't control everybody, but you can take care of yours. All right. So that's what I want you to do. So do that. And thanks for listening. We'll be right after this. Hey folks, have you heard about Driver Check and the services they offer? They have amazing services specifically for the transportation industry, along with many other industries. They have alcohol and drug testing, occupational health services, hearing protection, fit testing, and a whole lot more. They are a leader in how to handle cannabis in the workplace, and also how to handle COVID in the workplace. And you do not want to miss their great event that they have each year, the annual Fitness for Duty Summit. So where can you learn more? Where can you get information in order to keep your workplace safe? Well, go to drivercheck.ca. And when you go there, if you meet the team, please let them know that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you. Thanks very much, and we'll see you later. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Be safe out there on the road. That's what we want you to do. And make sure you follow us on our social. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it this week. And of course, we're on TikTok and LinkedIn, so you can find out from us anywhere. Have a great one. Be safe, be professional, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com, and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.